Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair, and here basically we are talking about the 202 number formula. And in this formula, basically, we are discussing about the Kupi Chupi word, and which word basically was not able to track by any of the energy companies. And that was basically communicated with each and every words, and few words basically they were not able to communicate. So that few words basically connected into few diseases, not few diseases, one disease, and that one disease basically converted into big level disease. Why? How basically that we will track? First, we had told that it connected to Abu Dhabi, and the Abu Dhabi person basically died, and that blood cells basically was not tracked. That disease equal to what? Disease equal to blood cells, right? That blood cells basically what actually was the blood cells, and without physical location creation, blood cells will not create. That's why basically government says that this why basically you have created here. So each and every thing basically creation in this land, for example in Vadodara city, each and every small creation also, that also basically connects into the blood cells. So that's why basically government keeps tracks of each and every blood cells. So that Abu Dhabi basically blood cells was generated, and that basically blood cells location was not able to track, because the computer basically was not able to track that blood cells location. Just see basically up to the depth level the things are basically connected. So they ignored, and they basically thought that we basically don't want to get into this blood cells, and they ignored that. And in this ignore basically that person died. So Abu Dhabi was responsible. Entire Abu Dhabi basically connected here, and Abu Dhabi is inside the UAE. So UAE basically also came into the picture. That UAE ignored that blood cells, and their software basically, which was checking the blood cells, they were not able to track that blood cells, and the blood cells equal to disease. That everybody basically knows that. Software industry person basically who are connected with the medical industry, the blood cells basically software creation basically, that people basically know that how basically the blood cells are created, how in internet basically the digital world the blood cells mapping is done. For example, there is one blood cells created as ABC Kupi Chupi. So that is name of the blood cells, and that blood cells was created from 15 cities energies. So the lines basically of the blood cells was 15 city. So that was the one thing basically the Abu Dhabi was not able to track the, because Abu Dhabi connected first in this world that disease. Taking just as an example, basically in real basically the country might be India also. It can be India also. Basically here basically we are not blaming any of the country, but this is the fact basically. The disease basically connected like this only. And how many people basically died, that also basically everybody knows. So medical industry is only responsible for this. Medical industry is only responsible for this. But here medical industry will say that that's not our problem, right? That is the software industry problem, because your software was not able to track that blood cells. And the blood cells group says that whatever data we have got, that data we have already entered. For example, ABCD Kupi Chupi blood cells. This is basically name of the one blood cells, and that basically connect to the 15 cities. So the lines of the blood cells was of the 15 cities. So that basically whatever we have the data, that we enters it, and then basically the software basically only connects with the data which basically is get input. So this discussion also we are going to discuss in this or in this or in next video basically. So next basically was um, uh, Germany basically. Sorry, the Italian water Waterland basically also was not able to track. Their software also basically not able to track that disease equal to blood cells. Means blood cells line basically we can say from where these blood cells has came. So each and every blood cells basically are connected with the physical only, because that blood cells going to convert to disease, and that disease is by default going to connect to your body parts basically. For example, hand parts, your hand parts basically are creating problem, or some pain is happening, that means it's connected with your blood cells only directly. Your head is getting problem, then basically your blood cells has generated some that type of database which is going to affect to your blood cells, sorry, to your body parts, your eyes, your ears. So like this basically lots of things are there. And like this, the blood cells data was not tracked by the Italy also, because they are also telling that we basically was not able to connect the data, because they also hided their error. So there also basically the error was tracked. Then basically it connects to the Germany. Third was Germany, right? Third was Germany. So Germany basically is a construction industry basically. Entire most of software industry construction are basically done with the help of the German construction only. So they also keep their secrets. But they were also basically not able to track that blood cells, which was basically generated on that but third number person body. So that person also died. But this whole three died basically person till now basically the World Bank is tracking it. World Bank is tracking it, and Bank might be watching that which country is hiding with us. World Bank, if any report is, and nobody reported to the World Bank also. Nobody reported to World Bank also. So just to see the log information which is generated in the system, how dangerous role it's going to play. That's why basically every system basically contains the logs. In banking system, basically each and every line basically process that connects to log files. That's why basically the log files are playing the most dangerous role. Not it's very dangerous role, right? So like this, the German ways are also basically told that basically we don't have this information. So they also hid it, and that person also died. Third person also died. Third person also died. Then basically one garden taking care basically person, one garden basically of the one of the US department of the healthcare department garden person was basically into this, and he was basically also connected with disease. So that was basically US government department, that is basically the healthcare department basically government department. They also connected with disease, that person basically also got, so healthcare of the USA department, they also basically hided this information. They also tracked the blood cells, and the in blood cells basically the information was unknown. The blood cells information was unknown. The blood cells information was unknown. So that American government also hided the information. But if the American government basically can hide the information, then you can just imagine the world has reached up to the level basically. If each and every person is hiding their informations, then where the world is going to be. And if world basically is going to get problem, then basically it's by default universe group is going to get problem. And if by chance universe group gets problem, then basically nobody knows that universe group can do up to what level. There are lots of examples. One is the highest example, sorry, the highest earthquake basically which came in Chile, I think in 1950 or 55. The highest earthquake basically was, and that basically destroyed many cities basically. So that was universe. So here basically each and every country basically hided their information. So US department also told that basically we also don't know, and that person also basically, that was basically the government person, right? That was government person, and that he died basically because the blood cells was not able to track the blood cells which was generated in that software machine. That software was not able to the USA software was not able to track. But the one thing is, in front of the world, it's not USA number one, that we have already discussed. So this is the best example, that in front of world. So US is totally dependent on basically most of countries. The best example is text box is created on the base of thousand cities. This is the best example of dependency. This is the best example of dependency of the lands, because everybody loves their land. Like everybody says that we basically love our lands. So love our land does not mean that you have to hide everything. So US also hided the thing. Then basically the thing comes is fifth number, that was, so that blood sorry that person basically was connected with healthcare department, right? That connected was with healthcare department. So they also added the thing. Then the fifth person basically was got the disease that was of, who basically was designing the blood cells of the software industry. For example, Microsoft blood cells was designed by one of the person, right? It was designed by one of the person. SAP blood cells. It's designed by one of the person. It's not that each and every construction department, how many cities required to create one blood cells of the. For example, there is one .NET software. So how many cities is going to take to create one .NET software? That basically all are decided by the that person basically who is designing the .NET blood cells. That person basically who is designing the .NET blood cells. So like this. The blood cells department basically who are into the creation, they also basically was not able to track that particular blood cells. That person basically, the person who was creating the blood cells, he also was not able to track the blood cells. Just see basically the critical thing basically the world has reached. And one day basically universe might suffer basically for this earth planet mistake. Basically this is basically mistake, right? And basically mostly the universe group are basically directly connected only, basically they are basically directly connected only, but they can't do anything from the universe, right? Each and everything basically has to happen from earth planet only. So they can't do the process from universe. They have to do everything, so the process basically is supposed to happen from earth planet only. The text box equal to 1,000 cities has created, that is supposed to happen in earth planet only, right? So 1,000 city which gets creates, that is 100% supposed to happen from earth planet only. So the blood cells basically who created the blood cells. For example, Microsoft blood cells is created. That person also got disease, and the disease equal to blood cells was not able to track by the software. That is basically the blood cells checking software. He also basically died. So fifth person basically also dies. This basically everything World Bank is knowing that. So World Bank is telling that Abu Dhabi also ignored us. They also not informed us. Then basically the Germany, they also not informed us. Then the Italy, they also not informed us. Then basically the healthcare department, USA also not informed us. And this blood cells creation company basically that are basically I think it's not sure basically, but it's UAE only basically. UAE basically do the blood cells. Sorry, the blood cells equal to construction creations, and they basically connected with the Germany company. They are connected with the Germany company. And Microsoft blood cells equal to is created from the set of certain people. Certain on the base of the certain people basically the blood cells was created. So basically here the thing is food industry basically also connects here. That also basically we are going to discuss food industry how this is going to connect here. And foods are created on the base of the certain construction industry. For example, Microsoft is created on the base of 1 lakh city, and from the 1 lakh city basically 10,000 city basically was generating vegetables. So vegetables is basically foods. So that basically is the blood cells going to generate, and that 10,000 basically cities, and that is basically one of the line of the blood cells. And that basically information is supposed to captured by the software industry, and software industry have to do the physical verification also. the information which is given, that is correct or not. And basically how they are going to do the verification, that is also the question basically, right? How they basically is going to know that this place 10,000 is going to generate vegetables only. So that basically are also we are going to discuss how dangerous the software industry also has entered the data. The software industry basically has entered the data. That also basically we are going to discuss. And this is going to directly connect to the nuclear power plant of the software industry. On the base of the software industry, the softwares are running, that basically is running on the base of certain nuclear power plants. So where is that nuclear power plant? That also we are going to discuss. So here the thing is basically the blood cells basically was creating the person who was basically designing the blood cells. He got disease and he also died. Then the sixth person basically was one of the software company owner basically. Sorry, the owner basically who basically knows everything. That text box is created on the base of 100,000 cities. Microsoft is created on the base of 1 lakh cities. .NET is created on the base of 10,000 cities, and SAP is created on the base of 1 lakh cities. Salesforce is created on the base of 1 lakh cities. Like this, basically, that person basically each and every knows, and he knows the software, the construction, and the blood cells information also. So he was the full and sole person. Assume that he is the TCS group. Assume that. So the TCS person basically knows that from 10,000 cities, 10,000 cities of the Microsoft, this vegetable has generated, and this vegetable has generated this many blood cells in the human bodies, and this 10,000 is the line basically of the blood cells. So they basically told that this is the line basically which the blood cells, whenever the person is going to disease from the 10,000 blood cells, this is the line basically you have to display in the report, and the report is going to be like this. So that information basically TCS gives, because they are into the software industry. Whenever basically the printing happens of the reports, that basically the job is of the TCS group. So they told that we have the each and every information, and we know that basically this 10,000 is the city from where the vegetables are generated. This is the 10,000 cities where the vegetables is generated. So this data basically the TCS entered. That's why basically the TCS is number one, number one. Sorry, not country. TCS is not country. So number one software company. That's why basically they are the number one software company, because they have the each and every 10,000 line, 10,000 cities information. On the basis of that, the vegetables has generated, and that basically TCS company owner basically knows everything, because I had taken one example of the brain cells basically generated of that particular person, and my brain cells are also generated. So many people says that we can access your brain cells, we can create you, we can basically change your mode. Basically, for example, you are speaking anything, and we can change your mode. Basically, you can go into sleep mode. For example, uh, I am just speaking just now, and suddenly, and this was basically 10 second, and in 10 second basically whatever thing basically has happened with me, that basically you will never able to track that, you will never able to track that basically. So that type of information basically the TCS groups have, and they basically do the advertising also. See this basically 10 second basically whatever thing basically we have done with the Sunil Arnair, he basically able to know track that. So this type of basically the power advertising basically you can say, they displays the power. Just see the power of the TCS. So now basically TCS basically have the have the data of these 10,000 vegetables, 10,000 sorry 10,000 cities on the base of, sorry, 10,000 Microsoft cities, basically Microsoft blood cell cities, Microsoft blood cell cities, and that blood cell city basically has generated the vegetables, and that vegetables information TCS has. That's why basically it's a number one country. Sorry, it's not country. It's a city. It's not city also. It's I think the software company. Tata Consultancy Service. That's why basically they are number one. That's why basically they are earning, I think, more than 100 crore basically, I think. But yearly, monthly, that basically I don't know. 100 crore dollar basically, I think. So you can just imagine the critical level. Sorry, not critical level. You can say this as a critical level. That's why basically the TCS is just spreaded in the half of the kilometer areas in the Mumbai, and in Bangalore also basically they have their software company. In US also basically they have company because they can't stop their work, right? Because that's why basically they have kept around more than 50 backups of their software company. That's why basically they have kept the backup. If one country basically has got some problem, assume that some earthquake happens, some disaster happens, so they have to stop that work. But the work will never stop of that of that country. Sorry, that company that is basically TCS, because another backup is already there. So 50 backup basically they have created so that the work is not supposed to stop, and work basically has not stopped also till now. So you can just imagine the critical level of the TCS company also. So here basically I'm just taking example of the in front of the world company that is basically the TCS, and everybody knows that who are basically in the in front of the world, they are basically not the number one. That basically everybody knows, right? For example, in sun basically there is no like sun basically, moon there is no like moon, but people says that yeah this basically we are seeing that is sun, this basically we are seeing that is moon. People knows that, right? Why? Because their education is like that. Because their education is like that in the books basically they have told that and one more thing basically the Bollywood group says that basically we don't believe in education, so they might be knowing this also that there is no like sun and there is no like moon. But education basically is must basically. For example, MBA degree, if one person is basically having BCom degree, so Infosys says that we don't take BCom people. But if one person is having BTech degree, then basically Infosys says that yeah basically we can take this BTech person, but we will not take BCom person. Why? Because the degree value is basically already generated. The advertising industry basically has converted that this degree is basically lower level degree, and few people says that BCom basically there is no it's not basically degree also. That type of thing basically I have also heard in Infosys only from Infosys people only, that there BCom basically is not a degree basically, it's just rough basically. So BCom is rough. That is also basically told by Infosys group. So basically here basically we are not discussing who told what, who told basically on the basis of what. He also basically might be got have some information that BCom people are like that and BTech people are like that. So you can just see the information basically, right? So here basically the example basically we have told that TCS basically created the software of the blood cells, and blood cells basically has one example basically we have taken, that is the Microsoft blood cells which has generated, and in this basically one person has eaten vegetables, few vegetables, and that vegetable was created on the base of Microsoft blood cells, and that Microsoft blood cells was generated, sorry, that Microsoft blood cells was generated on the base of 10,000 cities. So that 10,000 city basically has created this vegetable. So TCS told that basically we have the information basically. We believe in our people also basically, because whatever information they are giving, we too basically TCS say that we believe in our people, and whatever information basically that we have got, that we accept it blindly. So whatever report basically is display, you can see the report. That basically is connected with the software industry basically. That sixth person basically which got disease, and his also blood cell basically was not able to track because he don't have the information. Then how basically he's going to track the information really which basically he got? That information basically was not containing this blood cells information, because whenever his blood cells basically was connected with the blood cells checking software company, and mostly basically the blood cell software company basically are connected with USA, Singapore, sometime basically the India country, and few Bangalore companies are also there. There are basically many companies. Few company basically are very hidden also. They basically have never entered their name also basically in front of the government. So you can just imagine basically of what is the level of the government also, and government is not able to track also. And public says that we are giving vote to our government people, and government people are basically going to take care of us. We are going to discuss how up to what level the governments are there, but government says that we are basically taking care of our people. That also basically we are going to discuss how the subscription plan basically is telling that we are basically giving each and every information to the governments, and government is doing each and every task according to us only. So here basically we were discussing the sixth person basically got the disease. The sixth person basically got the disease. That sixth person basically was having each and every information. Assume that that person basically was from Bangalore city. That person basically was from Bangalore city, and Bangalore city basically are connected with fully God city, right? It's a fully God city, right? Fully Brahman city basically you can say. And that city basically blood cells information software basically. There are basically many big IT hubs also basically you can say. IT hub means there are mostly basically more than 1,000 buildings basically just standing in front of you, and that has converted into hubs. And there are basically more than 20 hubs basically in the software in the Bangalore city. They basically was not able to track this blood cells information. Then what is the value of 20 hubs basically that contains 1,000 buildings? That contains 1,000 buildings. So that basically person also died, and that was person was of the Bangalore city. That person basically was of the Bangalore city. So the user story basically till now basically we have discussed that is the 6% died, and this basically why the other people basically was not getting this disease. That is also basically one thing, right? Till now basically why the other people basically was not able to track the thing basically. That is the main thing, right? Then basically the person also died. The six people died. Then few people says that basically we in front of the world basically the it's like that um, in front of the world it's like that there is no other planet basically to stay in this world. Sorry, stay human can stay, earth planet human can stay. So there are more than 20 lakh planet also basically created in universe, and there basically whatever people few people says that whatever people die in earth planet, their body basically are cloned, and they are basically kept in the other planets, and they are basically having their normal life also. So you can just imagine basically up to the critical level, critical thing basically. So that assume that that 6% basically who died, they were cloned, and they basically shifted to other countries. Sorry, not country, other planets. So some universe group basically thought that if we will shift that person to other planets, then it might possible that this disease will get stopped. This disease will get stopped. But when basically that 6% basically was done the cloned, that time basically that unknown basically blood cells was connected to one planet, and that planet basically was named as a Mars planet. And there basically the blood cells got activated, and the chain got connected. The six people basically who are knowing, who are for example this they are basically are connected. For example, uh, first person, the Abu Dhabi person, basically was connected with the around. He basically talked with few people. He basically was working with somewhere. He basically was doing chat with internet like this. Basically, whatever activities he has done with the people, assume that that count was around 1 lakh people. So that 1 lakh people across the world basically got affected due to that Abu Dhabi person. So 1 lakh people got affected. Then basically the second person got activated, Italy person. He was connected with around 2 lakh people. So 2 lakh people got affected. Then basically third person. Like this basically around more than 15 lakh people got affected. And then basically the disease got spreaded to the whole world. The disease got spreaded to the whole world. So here basically the user story was the software company basically not able to track the universe. Sorry, uh, the nuclear company was not able to track. The power company was basically not able to track. The energy company was basically not able to track. The software company basically 2020 hubs basically they are having in the Bangalore city. They were not able to track. The US department basically the health department who says that we are taking the care of the God family. They told that basically we were not able to track. They are basically the taking care of the God family, right? They are taking the care of the God family. So they told that basically we were basically they are tracking the sorry they were keeping the information of the God family. They basically the whole world basically might be knowing this, and they are tracking the sorry they are taking care of the God family. So this basically they might have done the advertising also. This basically the whole world basically might be knowing that, and they are basically to get the business. Everybody does the advertising also, but the this basically connected into negative effect. Positive effect was they were basically getting the business from across the world because they were taking care of the God family. But suddenly the negativity comes, and then basically they thought that if we will basically will hide this information, sorry, if we will get this information in front of the world, and the God family will know this, they basically will able to track that basically we don't have the information. So that will affect a negative effect, and then basically our clone business basically will get down. Clone business will basically get down. Clone business basically will get effect, and lots of basically money basically we are going to, and the basically what the main income basically of the USA, that is directly going to affect. If the money basically is going to affect directly, then basically the security basically of the USA will directly going to affect, because they are spending I think more than 70 percentage money in their security only. And in security basically its healthcare department also are connected. So security level basically are very high level security also, very high level security also. So like this basically that is going to affect. And the USA say that basically we have lots of enemy also. They are going to directly going to affect to them. They are going to attack to them. They are by default going to attack, right? Basically, if they will the USA will tell that basically we are not able to track these blood cells, then by default the business is going to affect, and money is going to not come. Then basically by default the world is the enemies are directly going to attack to America. So that basically was basically the problem. Due to that, basically they basically hided the information. So USA Health Department basically told that we don't know. We basically was not able to track this, but we basically not informed to the World Bank also. So World Bank is tracking each and everything basically. But World Bank basically also not able to track the information. Otherwise, they might have solved this information long before. They also basically might have solved this information long before, because they were also basically trying to track basically where basically. So you can just see basically from where the things basically are connecting, from which planet basically the information was connected. Few people says that each and every computer in this world basically are connected with the satellites. By default, basically satellites do the hacking. So just see basically up to what level the hacking systems are there. Few people says that basically each and every computers in this world basically are connected with the satellites. So anybody can do the hacking in the software. For example, my laptops are basically also connected with the satellites. For example, USA Healthcare Department, they are also basically their softwares are sorry, their computers are also connected with the healthcare department. Sorry, connected with the satellites. But they basically were never able to track that. And basically, who basically have the time, right? Nowadays, who basically have the time to track each and every computer basically. For example, I am doing what? Who is going to track? Nobody is going to track that. Until basically they gets the problem, then only basically they tracks. Until basically they are not going to track. But then also basically a few people says that we can't track basically whatever things happens, let them know. Because there are more than 400 crore computers in this world, basically who is going to track each and every computers basically. For that basically artificial intelligence is software game. But that basically also going to track what I had told, this Koopy Choopy word. Can artificial intelligence software can track this? Why? Because the big level software company basically, that is basically 20 hubs basically, computers company basically, software companies who are in Bangalore city, they basically told that we can't able to track that Koopy Choopy word. Koopy Choopy word, which was created on the base of Mars planet energy. Koopy Choopy word basically was generated from Mars planet energy. So whatever you word speaks, that basically connects to set of planets basically. So here basically the Koopy Choopy word was connecting to the Mars planet, Mars. That is basically in the universe basically. Few people says that, and few people says that nobody basically have the planets also basically in this world. There is no planet basically until only basically Earth planet is having the planet where basically the human are staying. And few people says that there are 20 lakh planets basically. Whatever people dies in Earth planet, they basically are cloned and basically sent to the other planets basically. So that is basically also one different world basically. This basically government might be knowing that. Without government knowing, basically nothing happens basically. Because you have to sign each and every death certificates. So that basically only government can issue, right? And where basically that bodies is going to use, that basically also government has to issue. So each and every information basically which is passed, that basically without government information nothing get passed. So 20 lakh planet is created. In this basically assume that one is the Mars planet. One is the Mars planet. So whenever basically universe group gets into trouble basically, that time basically they are doing firing. This basically few people says that that groups are basically getting trouble and that they are firing it. It's not also like that because they are also staying in the Earth planet. They also basically have to stay in Earth planet. So that might be some mistake basically might have happened. Brain mistake basically you can say. The brain was not able to recall the thing basically what he was doing. The brain was not able to recall the thing basically which he was doing. So here basically the brain plays the important role. I have taken few example, right? One person is basically doing task in his computer. Suddenly basically 10 second basically he got in sleep mode. Within 10 second basically lots of things has done basically, and that person basically don't know because he was in sleep mode. The sleep mode was basically created specially basically by the software company basically. But each and every seconds basically gets counts. Each and every seconds basically are getting counted, right? It's not like that the each and every seconds are not getting counted. Suddenly, suppose assume that in 10 seconds basically that person basically got some heart attack, then basically who will be responsible? Then who will be responsible? That basically question one of the person basically asked. So that is basically different topic. That basically the software company will be responsible, and software company says that we have signed the taken the agreement basically from your software company owner and your from your family member also. So we have basically the proof. But basically, if person died, then basically what is going to happen? Then basically, few people says that there are lots of colors of cars basically going on, and one of the car basically of my favorite basically car is the brown color. So this connects to the automobile industry. What is automobile industry? That also basically we are going to discuss in later video. So here the thing is, the six people died. Who will be responsible for this died? Because the blood cells was not able to track that. So now the problem is the software company also says that we don't have this information. Then how this information we are going to track? So we have stopping here basically. The software company also not have the information. So the discussion basically has reached up to this level, and six people died on the mistake of few people. Mistake done by few people. So why basically that people has died? That also basically we have already discussed. But few more topics basically which connects to the power companies, nuclear power companies, and energy companies that are also basically we are going to discuss. So here basically we are stopping. This is 202 number topic. In 203 basically we are going to discuss a little bit more about the software industry.